Hello everyone, welcome to chemistry class. We have been discussing the chapter number 3, acids, bases and salts. Having been completed the topics related to acids and bases, now it is the time to learn about the salts. Today we will learn about the salts and their preparation. Let us begin with the definition of salt. What actually is a salt is. So we'll deal with this definition with the reaction we have already seen in the acids. In the preparation of the acids, we have seen this equation, that is acids can be prepared, a more volatile acid can be prepared from a less volatile or a non-volatile acid. This reaction we have seen in the preparation of the acids, and in this reaction only we are getting what is known as salt. So using this equation only we will understand the definition of salt. So what is a salt? Any compound which is formed by the partial replacement or total replacement of ionizable hydrogen atoms. Ionizable hydrogen means what? That is H plus ions only. H plus ions that are present in the acids. Acids are having H plus ions, and these H plus ions are replaced. These are replaced by what? These are replaced by a metallic ion. Metallic ion is a cation. It can be any ions like Na plus, sodium plus, that is Na plus ion. It can be K plus, it can be Ca plus, calcium ion, or any of the metal ion is replacing the hydrogen atom which are available on the acid. Now this replacement of the acid ion can be complete or it can be partial also. How it is so? Let us understand with the example that is given here. Here they have given acid, that is H2SO4. It is a dibasic acid. You can see H2, two hydrogens are there, so it can release what? It can release 2 H plus ions. 2 H plus ions can release, that is why basicity of this is 2. It is a dibasic acid in nature. Now equation you see in this equation, what is the metal ion? Metal ion will replace this hydrogen. Metal is sodium here, and only one sodium atom is there, Na, only one is there. On the other side, hydrogen, how many are there? 2 hydrogen are there. So one sodium cannot replace 2 hydrogen there. It can replace only one hydrogen at one time. So as a result, what will happen? This H2SO4, it is having two parts, H plus, and another part is what? That is HSO4 minus. And when this NaNO3 is reacted, NaNO3 is also into two parts, Na plus and NO3 minus. So this H plus is replaced by this sodium. Sodium will occupy the position of H plus. As a result, we will get a new compound. What is that new compound? That new compound is NaHSO4. Na plus will get bonded with HSO4 negative. So that is how this reaction takes place, and we are getting a salt NaHSO4 NaHSO4, no minus plus, that is the salt there. Other thing that is forming, that is the acid. So this is generally a reaction of preparation of acids, but along with the same reaction, salt is also prepared. So with the help of that example only, we can deal with the definition. Another, you can see second complete replacement is going on here. This time we have taken sodium in more quantity, that is concentration is increased now. 2 NaNO3, now 2 sodium atoms are there, and they can easily replace 2 hydrogen atom. So 2 Na plus are there this time, because you can see in the equation. Similarly, H2SO4 is also releasing 2H plus. So this 2H plus can be completely replaced by 2 Na positive. As a result, what we will get? This H2 will remove from here, and we will get Na2SO4. That is, the salt is prepared. Remaining thing will be the acid, that is nitric acid is prepared. So this is the definition. You have to remember it. It is, salt is what? It is any compound which is formed by the partial or complete replacement of the H plus hydrogen plus ions of the acid, and this replacement is done by any metallic ion, or it can be ammonium ion. Now having we understood about the salt, now the salt also is having two opposite charged ions. That is, when it is dissolved in water, it can dissociate to form cation as well as anion. Because dissociation is there, that is why we will say salt is what? Salt is an ionic compound. Always you will remember, salt is an ionic compound. Whenever we dissolve this salt in water, it will dissociate, it will break down into individual ions. How it is so? Let us have a look here. Example is given, that is sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, when it is put in water, we will get two ions. One is Na plus and second part is Cl minus. But here we have a condition, a very important condition is there for learning about the salts. That is, these cations and anions cannot be any cation or any anion. Here we have a condition, that is, the cation should be other than H plus. minimum one cation should be there other than H plus. And similarly the negative ion also, it should be minimum one should be there other than OH negative. In the book condition is given other than H plus, but actually it should be at least one should be there. At least, let me write other side. For the cation, the condition is there, that is different types of cations can be released. When acid is dissolved in water, cation will release, but out of all the cations at least one cation should be there, at least one should be there which is other than hydrogen ion. Other than hydrogen ion, any one can be there. Similarly for the case of anions also, any one can be there. For the case of anion also we have the condition minimum one should be there which is other than OH negative. So how it is? So let us have an example. We can have the example of, for example, we can take NaHSO4. Sorry, we can take NaHSO4. This is an example. Now here, if we put this in this particular salt, this is a salt, sodium hydrogen sulfate, and if we put this in water, what we will get? It will dissociate into different ions. First we will get Na plus. Second thing that we will get is H plus. Third thing, one more we will get, that is SO4 2 minus. So three types of ions we are getting. Two cations are there and one anion. Now you remember the condition, minimum one cation should be there other than H plus. So NaHSO4, that is having one cation other than H plus, that is sodium. Sodium is there, Na plus is there, that is other than H plus. Similarly for the negative radical, what is the condition? Minimum one negative radical should be there other than OH negative. OH negative is already not there, but other than OH negative is there. So both the condition are fulfilled. One cation other than H plus, one anion other than OH negative. So that is why we can say NaHSO4 is a salt. Similarly here you can say what is given in the book, NaCl. Na plus and Cl minus are forming. One cation is there, that is Na plus is there, and it is not H plus. One cation is there and it is not H plus, so that is why this condition fulfilled. Second thing, Cl minus, that is also it is not OH negative, so one cation is there other than H plus, one anion is there other than OH negative. That is why we can say it is a salt. So that is all. Apart from this, one more thing we can say about the salts. Salt we can also define in one more way, that is salt can be any compound which is formed as a by the reaction of what? By the reaction of base and acid. When the acid and base react, what we are getting? We are getting a salt. So salt is any compound which is produced as a result of the reaction between the acid as well as salt. So that is another way of defining salt only. Now having been learned about the definition of the salts, let us now move to the different types of salts, that is the classification of salt. We are having generally different kinds of salts and they are 6 in number. All of them we will deal with this one by one. Let us begin. The first type of the salt are called as the normal salts. Let us understand this. The definition of normal salt says these are those kind of salt which are formed by complete replacement of H plus ions of the acid. Acid are having H plus ions, and those H plus ions, if they are completely replaced by metallic ion or ammonium ion, then we are getting normal salt. For example, here in the equation you can see HCl plus NaOH gives NaCl plus H2O. This NaCl is an example of normal salt. How it is forming now, let us understand. We will get a clear understanding of the definition. NaOH, this NaOH is divided into two parts when it is put in solution. So we are getting Na plus and OH negative. On the other side, this acid, it is also broken into two parts. It ionizes. Acid is ionized into H plus and Cl minus. Now what is happening is complete replacement of H plus, that is sodium ion will replace this H plus from the acid. Na plus occupies the position of H plus, so we can say complete replacement of hydrogen atoms takes place in the acid, and what is forming it as a result is called as acid. So what is forming here is NaCl, because hydrogen ions have been replaced and it is complete replacement. One more equation is given, that is H2SO4 plus 2 NaOH. Now in the first equation you see only one sodium is there. Only one sodium is there and only one hydrogen is there. For replacing one hydrogen, one sodium is enough. But in the second equation you see, if we are having H2SO4, now H2SO4 is having what? It is dissociating and producing 2H plus ions. That means what? For the complete replacement of hydrogen ions in H2SO4, we need more amount of metal atoms, or we can say we need two metallic ions, because two hydrogen ions are there. For that only you can observe in this second equation we have written 2 NaOH. That means more quantity of NaOH is taken. Accordingly, with nature of acid we can change that. So here now two sodium atoms, so two sodium ions are forming, that is 2 Na plus are there, and also in H2SO4 2 H plus are there. These 2 H plus are replaced by 2 Na plus, and what is forming is called as a salt. So here again complete replacement of hydrogen atoms is taking place. That is why it is forming a normal salts. Some more examples are given over here. All these are examples of what is known as a normal salts. And an important thing you have to note, in the normal salts there will be no ionizable hydrogen atoms. What does it mean? You can see here in this salt there is no ionizable hydrogen ion is not present. If it dissociate NaCl, if it dissociate into two part, it will give us Na plus Cl minus. H plus ion is not coming now. H plus is not a part of this salt. Similarly, in the next one also you can see it will dissociate. Na2SO4 will dissociate and form Na plus and SO4 2 minus. Here also there is no presence of ionizable hydrogen atom, or we can say H plus is not present. So that is the meaning of this line. That is telling us normal salts have no ionizable hydrogen atoms. But if ionizable hydrogen atom comes in an acid, then what it will be called? If any salt is having H plus in them, then what it is called? That is what is forming as the second type of the salt, called as the acid salts. Acid salts are having ionizable hydrogen in them. For example, we can take NaHSO4. If it dissociates into water, what we will get? We will get Na plus. Just now we have seen Na plus. Another one will be H plus, and third thing SO4 2 minus. So in the ions you can observe when it is dissociating, it is having ionizable hydrogen atom, or ionizable hydrogen is there. So that is why this type of salts are called as acid salts, because they can behave like acid. Acids are what? Acids are those substances which produce H plus ion. That is acid. Now this salt is also behaving like acid only. It is also producing H plus ion. That is why they are known as the acid salts. They are salt, but some more or less they are also behaving like acid also. The definition we will read now. What is it and how it is formed? Acid salts are formed by what? It is formed by partial replacement. Above just now we have seen in the normal salt they are prepared how? They are prepared by the complete replacement. Here the reaction happens between the acid and base, and there is complete replacement of hydrogen. But if there is no complete replacement, and we can say if it is partial replacement only, then what is left is called as acid salt. It will be more clear now with this example. Let us see. Here you can see H2SO4 we are taking with NaCl. Observe the equation there. Only one sodium is there. NaCl is having only one sodium ion. Na plus and Cl minus is what is formed from NaCl. Similarly, H2SO4 forms what? It forms H plus, and another one is HSO4 negative. H2SO4 is dibasic. Remember the topics of acids, acidity. So here H plus is forming. Now one Na plus can replace one H plus. So here only what will happen? This Na plus will occupy the position of H plus, and what we will get? We will get as a result is NaHSO4. So here what is there? One hydrogen is still there, still a part of the salt. So we can say partial replacement of hydrogen has happened. Only one hydrogen is replaced. Both have not been replaced. That is why it is called as an acid salt. Another definition, another example equation also you can see here. Also one sodium is there. One sodium will replace one hydrogen there. As a result, we are getting what is called as acid salt. So that is, we have learned about the second type of salt. Now one question is there, that is, now here H2SO4 is there. Now question is, can HCl form this type of salt? Acid salt can be formed from HCl or not? Think about it. HCl is having the possibility, or is there some chances that HCl can give acid salt? The answer will be no, it is not possible. Why it is not possible? Here if we react this HCl with any of the substance, then only one hydrogen is there, and if it is lost, then no other hydrogen is left. Still it is not a part there. So all the hydrogen are replaced, only one is there, and that will lead to what? It will lead to complete replacement. Complete replacement of hydrogen will take place, and complete replacement takes place in what? It takes place in the case of normal salt. So HCl can produce which type of salt? Only and only normal salt. HCl will not form acid salt because only one hydrogen is there, and if it takes part in any reaction, it will lose its single hydrogen, leading to the formation of normal salt. Similarly, we can also write the same thing for another acid, that is HNO3, nitric acid. Here also you see only one hydrogen is there, and if it is participating in a reaction, it will lose its single hydrogen. Single hydrogen is lost, that means what is happening? Complete replacement of hydrogen is happening, and HNO3, just like HCl, will also form normal salt. HCl, HNO3 cannot form normal salt. Which type of salts can form acid salt then? Acid salt can only be formed by those different types of acids which are polybasic in nature. Polybasic acid means what? It can be dibasic in nature. Like dibasic acids are what? Which are having basicity 2, that is like H2SO4. It is having 2H plus. 2 hydrogen ions are there. So it can lose one of them. One of these can be lost, H plus can be lost, and still HSO4 is formed there. Means hydrogen is still a part of the salt. So dibasic acids can form acid salt, or we can say tribasic ones. Tribasic example we can take like H3PO3, H3PO3, sorry H3. H3PO3 or H3PO4 we can take for example. So here also many number of hydrogen are there that can form acid salts. So that is why in the definition this term is mentioned, that this hydrogen atom which is replaced, for the partial replacement it should be a polybasic one. Means monobasic ones cannot be forming the acid salts. So that is all about the second type of the salt. The third type of the salt will now move to is, that is called as the basic salt. Let us come to the basic salt. The basic oxides are formed by the partial replacement only, but now this time the partial replacement will be of the hydroxyl group, means that is OH negative. OH negative is replaced, but it is partial replacement. Let us have an understanding with this example. We have taken a base, that is PbOH2, lead hydroxide. It is reacted upon by the acid HCl. What we will get as a result is a basic salt. Let us understand this. PbOH2 will dissociate into what? It will form Pb2 plus, that is lead ion only, Pb2 plus, and the second thing that will form here is hydroxyl ions will form. Now OH2 is there, that means 2 OH minus are there. Similarly H plus will form what? H plus will form HCl will form, HCl will form H plus and Cl negative. Now the reaction takes place how? This OH negative, 2 are there, PbOH2 is there, so 2 hydroxyl groups are there, ions are there. One of them will be replaced by this Cl negative. Cl negative will replace one of the OH minus. So as a result, what is left is only single OH is left, and the compound that is forming is PbOHCl, that is PbOHCl. What is PbOHCl? That is a basic salt. That is an example of basic salt. Now it is named as basic lead chloride. Here we have to remember, we have to put this name basic here because it is a basic salt. Otherwise what we can say, lead chloride is not this. Lead chloride is PbCl2, that is lead chloride. But basic lead chloride is what? That is PbOHCl. That is the difference. Lead chloride, PbCl2, basic lead chloride, PbOHCl. Similarly, all of these names here, here you can see in the beginning basic is written. So because basic is written, in the center you can observe all are having OH group present there. That is partial replacement of OH has been done. Hydroxyl group partial replacement has been done. That is why we are calling them as basic in nature. Also, if you observe this formula, all these formulas of the example, they will tell us what? That the basic salt is containing one metallic cation in them. A positive radical is there, that is a metal. For example, the last one you can see basic copper nitrate. So basic copper nitrate is having this metal cation, that is copper. Second thing, what is in this substance, in this compound, that is hydroxyl ion will be there. That is the second thing, that is OH is there in this formula you can see. The third thing that is present in the basic salt is an anion of the acid, that is here in this example it is nitrate, that is NO3 minus. So basic salt is having 3 different parts. One is the metal cation, second is the hydroxyl ion, third is the anion of the acid. Another thing that you have to remember in the basic salt, just like the acid salts, they are formed from what? They are formed or prepared from the polybasic acid. Dibasic, tribasic ones can form the acid salt. Similarly, here in the basic salt also, all the bases cannot form basic salt. Only the diacidic or the triacidic bases can form the basic salt. Diacidic, like for example calcium hydroxide, it is having 2 OH. That is why here partial replacement can take place. So it is a diacidic base, so it can form basic salt. Similarly, triacidic also can form a basic salt. A monobasic ones, the monoacidic base cannot form the basic salt. For example, if you take NaOH, NaOH is having already only single OH here. If it is replaced, nothing is left there. That will lead to complete replacement and it will form the normal salt. So here basic salt also you have to take care. Monoacidic base cannot form the basic salts. Let us now move on to the next category of the salt, that is the double salts. Double salts are what? Double salts are the ones which are formed by simple combination of different groups of salt. Here you can see first example of is the potash alum. Here in this formula now you notice here different dots are there. Whenever you see the chemical formula of double salt, you will see dots in between, and these dots are separating different compounds which are a part of the double salt. First salt here is K2SO4, potassium sulfate. Second one is here Al2SO4 whole thrice, that is aluminium sulfate. Two different salts are joined together, so it is a union of two simple salts, and both these salts are dissolving in water. In the end part of this formula you can see they are dissolved in water, and as a result they have crystallized. So that means a crystal has been formed, and this crystal is called what? This crystal is given the name of potash alum. These names and the formula of all these examples you have to learn for the double salt. So potash alum is K2SO4 Al2SO4 whole thrice 24H2O. 24H2O is what is called this? This is called as water of crystallization, the minimum amount of water needed to form the crystal. So different salts are joined together to form a crystal. That is what is called as double salt. Another example you can learn here, that is more salt. More salt is what? That is FeSO4 NH4 whole twice SO4 6H2O. First salt here is ferrous sulfate. Second salt here is ammonium sulfate. Two salts are joined together, and how much amount of water is required for the crystal is 6 molecules of water. So that is why we can say it is a union of different salts crystalline in a crystalline nature, and that is called as more salt. Another name, the chemical name of this is ferrous ammonium sulfate. The chemical name is ferrous ammonium sulfate, and common name is what? Common name is more salt. The next one is CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate, and another salt, that is magnesium carbonate. In between the dot you can see everywhere, if the dot is coming, by that single dot only you can understand it is a double salt. So if the formula is written then, so if here you can see two salts are there in in this example here, CaCO3 MgCO3, both are joined together. Here this the substance is called as dolomite. All these are different minerals, and these are examples of what? These are examples of double salts. Now don't confuse the double salt with the mixed salt. Let us understand the mixed salts also. Mixed salt are a mixture of different types of acid and basic radical. In a normal salt, what is there? For example, NaCl is a normal salt, and it can dissociate and form, and it can give us a single acid, a single positive radical, that is Na plus, and a single negative radical, one positive, one negative. But in the mixed salt, what is there? There can be one extra basic or one extra negative radical. Not one acid and basic radical, one of them will be extra in nature. Let us understand this example. NaCO3, that is a mixed salt, name is given sodium potassium carbonate. If we break this into different ions, what we will get? We will get Na plus, second we will get K plus, third thing we will get CO3 2 minus. So here we can see that apart from the normal salt which are having single positive, single negative radical, this particular salt is having two positive radicals, because one extra positive radical is forming a part of the salt. We are calling it as mixed salt. Similarly, another example you can see CaOCl2, that is bleaching powder. So here also you can see CaO. So here calcium 2 plus ion is there. Second thing what is there? Chloride negative ion is there. Third thing what is there? That is OCl, this is also an ion. So here two negative ions are there. That is why it is called as a mixed salt. If you understand the bonding of CaCl2, you may be confused. Ca is bonded, calcium is having valency 2, so it is forming one bond with chlorine, another bond is with OCl, that is oxygen forms two bonds. Oxygen form one bond with calcium, another one with chlorine. The bonding is not important, just for you, because you would be confused, so that is why I am making you clear. So this, if this bond is broken and this bond is broken, we will get Ca2 plus, another one Cl negative, and third one is OCl. That is why three different ions are formed there. So this is about the mixed salt. So don't confuse between the mixed and the double salt. Double salts are what? They are a union of two simple salts. Here full salt is there. Two different salts are joined together. But in the mixed salt, salts are not joined together. Different basic and the acidic radicals are joined together. Let us now move on to the last type of the salt, that is the complex salt. The complex salts are the one which on dissociation, if we dissociate them, then we will get one simple ion, another one will be a complex ion. What is one simple ion and another one is a complex ion? So what is this complex ion? Let us understand with this example. NaAgCN whole twice. This is a complex salt, and if we dissociate, if we break this into smaller ions, separate ions, then we will get what? We will get Na plus, that is sodium ion. Another part will be this single ion. This will not break into individual parts, means silver, and another one is cyanide. So both of these will not separate from each other. Because they are not separating from each other, even in the dissociated state, this is called as complex ion. So if the single salt is breaking into a simple ion and another one is complex ion, then that kind of salt is a complex salt. Some more examples are given here. Silver amino chloride. Silver amino chloride, here this chloride ion can separate easily, but the remaining part that is inside this box bracket, you can easily observe this, understand this by this box bracket. Whatever is inside this box bracket, that will not break out into fragments, that is, it will remain as a single entity even upon dissociation. So if we dissociate it into two parts, what we will get? We will get Cl minus, one of the ion is separate. Second thing, this is the simple ion. This one is simple ion, Cl minus simple. The remaining one is AgNH3 whole twice, that will form the positive part. So that will be the complex ion. Similarly, the next one, that is tetraamine copper sulfate. Tetra means what? 4. Here you can see 4 NH3, that is 4 molecules of ammonia are there. That is why tetraamine. Remaining thing is copper sulfate, that is copper is there, sulfate is there. So here also whatever is inside the bracket, that will form the complex ion. SO4 twice, SO4 2 minus will form the simple ion. Similarly for the remaining examples. So this is all about the complex ions. Out of this, whatever the different types of the ions we have learned, all you have to remember that all different types of the salts we have learned. Normal, acid, basic salts, then we have some more complex nature, that is double salts, mixed salt, and the complex salts. So we have learned about the definition of salt, the types of the salt. Now we will see the solubility of the salt. Salts can be water soluble or they can be insoluble. We are having soluble salts and insoluble salts. Now how we can categorize them, that we will see with the help of this table. This table you can see on the page 51 in the book, it is given, and you have to learn all these rules. 5 rules are there with some exceptions also, and all these rules you have to learn to remember about the soluble and the insoluble salts. The first rule regarding the solubility of the salt is that all the compounds of ammonium, sodium, and potassium are soluble in water. Ammonium is NH4 positive, sodium is Na positive, and potassium is K positive. So if any of the salt is containing these basic radicals, then we will say it is soluble in water. For example, we can take NaCl, that is containing sodium, so it is soluble salt. Another one we can take, for example, we can take Ki, that is potassium is there, it is soluble in water. Similarly, we can take ammonium salt, NH4 CO3 whole twice, ammonium carbonate. Here also ammonium is there, so it is soluble in water. So any of the salt, irrespective of the negative radical, we will not see the negative radical if any of these three is there: sodium, potassium, ammonium. If any of these three positive radical is there, we will say the salt is water soluble. No exception is there. Second one, now the nitrates and the nitrites. The salt is containing these negative radicals. Nitrate or nitrite, then the particular salt is soluble in nature. Examples we can take KNO3, NaNO2, anyone we can take. So if the salt is nitrate or nitrite, then it is soluble in water. The third one, chlorides, bromides, iodides, all of them. So chlorides is Cl negative, bromide is Br negative, and iodide is I negative. If any one of these negative radical is a part of the salt, then we will say the salt is soluble in water. But here we have a condition for the chlorides. For the chlorides only, all the bromides are soluble, all the iodides are soluble, but in chlorides only 2-3 are there which are not soluble. Chlorides also all are soluble, but these three you have to remember that they are insoluble in water, and exceptions are always important for exam. So what is the exception here? That is Hg2Cl2. Hg2 is a ion of mercury, that is mercuric. This is mercuric chloride. Mercuric chloride, Hg2Cl2. Another one is silver chloride. Next is lead chloride. This lead chloride is an exception, but in this exception also we have one more exception. What is that? That is lead chloride is insoluble in cold water. It is not dissolving in cold water, but if we try to dissolve it in hot water, then it is soluble. So that is exception in exception. And the lead chloride is insoluble salt, but insoluble in cold water and soluble in hot water. So always remember this. This is very important salt to remember regarding solubility. PbCl2 soluble in hot water and insoluble in cold water. The fourth rule now we will see, that is all the sulfates are soluble. Sulfate means what? Sulfate are SO4 2 minus. This is sulfate. So any of the sulfate, you can take any salt, that will be soluble in water. Here 3 examples you have to learn, that is calcium sulfate, lead sulfate, barium sulfate. Other than these 3, all are soluble. Only these 3 are insoluble salt. These 3 are what? Insoluble salt. So in the case of the first one, in the case of the chlorides and in the case of the sulfates, we have some exception. Chlorides 3 examples are there. Sulfate also 3 examples are there, that are the insoluble salts. The next one we will move now, the point number 5, that is regarding the carbonates, sulfides and phosphates. So all of them, carbonates, sulfides and phosphates, all of them are insoluble in water. Yes, they are what? Insoluble salts. So what are carbonates? Carbonates are CO3 2 minus. So if any salt is carbonate, we can take any example like zinc carbonate. That is an example. Because carbonate is written, we will say it is insoluble salt. Similarly, sulfides. Sulfide means what? Sulfides we can write as S2 minus, that is a sulfide salt. So any of the sulfide is insoluble in water. You can take any example like CuS, you can take copper sulfide, that is insoluble in water. Similarly, sulfides are SO3 2 minus. SO3 is sulfides. So any of the sulfides, and similarly phosphates, that is PO4 and 3 minus, that is phosphates. All these are what? All these are the examples of water insoluble salts. All these are insoluble in nature. But here we have to remember that what? The ammonium, sodium and potassium, that is the rule number 1. Just now we have seen the rule number 1 says what? Sodium, potassium, ammonium are soluble in nature, regardless of this point number 5. Point number 5 is saying carbonate is not soluble, but if it is having any of these 3, ammonium carbonate, sodium carbonate or potassium carbonate. For example, sodium carbonate, if we ask you that it is soluble or insoluble, then what you will apply the rules. But you will first you see this carbonate, and carbonate is insoluble. The rule number 5 says carbonate is insoluble. Just then you see the point number 1, that is sodium is soluble. So then appears a contradiction. Carbonate is insoluble, sodium is soluble. Then which rule should we use? We will always use the rule number 1, that is sodium salts. In this rule will not apply. The rule number 5 will not apply with regard to sodium, potassium and ammonium. These salts will always be soluble. If they are having carbonate also, sulfide or phosphate, they will be applicable for sodium, potassium and ammonium. So we will say sodium carbonate, our example, that one is water soluble salt. Similarly, any of these you can take. For example, ammonium, if we take ammonium carbonate, then it is soluble in water. If we take sodium sulfide, then it is soluble in water. So sodium, potassium, ammonium are the exceptions with regard to this here. This is all about the different rules regarding the solubility of the salts, and you have to learn all these rules from 1 to 5 with these exceptions. This will make it clear to you about which salts are soluble in water and which ones are the ones insoluble in water. In the rule number 5, they have given carbonates and all. Here you can add one more thing in between, that is bicarbonate. The bicarbonate are also generally insoluble in nature. Bicarbonate salts are also not soluble. That is not given in book. We can also write bicarbonates there. Here also the same exception will apply for the bicarbonates. That is sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate and all. They are soluble. Here it is given in the note also. Sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate are sparingly soluble. They are soluble, but sparingly means what? Their solubility is little bit less soluble, but still they are soluble in nature. So that is all for different types of the rules regarding solubility. One more note is given here about the metal and hydroxide. That is not pertaining to salts. Still it is given metal oxides are bases, metal hydroxide are also bases. So all these metal oxide and hydroxide are also insoluble. Here also, if the metal is sodium, potassium or ammonium, then we will say it is soluble. Sodium and potassium are the metals and ammonium ion is also there in these oxides or hydroxide, then we will say it is soluble. But this is not regarding the salts. Still they have given in this table. So you have to learn all these rules, rule number 1 to 5 regarding the solubility of the salt, and you can be clear with which salts are soluble and which ones are insoluble in nature. The next topic, that is the methods of the preparation of the salts, of the preparation of soluble salt and the preparation of insoluble salts. We will be covering in a separate video that will be followed after this shortly. Today itself we will be having the one more part of this video. We'll finish this full chapter today itself. Now we are heading towards the end of the online classes. Up to the 30th of May you will be having the classes. This week itself it will complete, and we will finish up to chapter 4 also. The full syllabus will finish off the unit test. In the unit test you have chapter 1 to 4 to be coming in the unit test presently as of now. The remaining depends on the situation, as and when the school resumes we will finalize. But as of now, the unit 1 to 4 you have to prepare for the unit test. And here we have the holiday homework. After 30th of May, in the month of June, will be your holidays. So you have this homework. Question 1, you have to prepare a notebook and solve the questions of chapter 1 to 4. You don't have to do all the questions, only these questions. The page numbers are mentioned here. Chapter 1, page 17 to 20. Chapter 2, page 35 and 36. Chapter 3, page 61 and 62. And chapter 4, page number 68. Only the questions of given on these pages you have to solve and note down in the notebook. You have to prepare a notebook for chemistry. The second thing, you have to prepare a lab manual for the practical work. That is, lab record is there, lab manual you have to arrange. That is, in this you have to do first 3 experiment. Experiment number 1, 2 and 3 that you have to note down there. The experiments are printed there in the front part. From there you can see and note it down on the given space where the space is given for writing. And the lab manual only you have to purchase. The other copies are not allowed. The lab manual which is recommended by the school, that you have to purchase. Question 3, write and learn the periodic table. Here the periodic table is given on page number 2, that you have to learn because it is an important part, the basic part of the base of the chemistry forms the periodic table. So that is a very important thing. So all the position of elements in the various groups and periods you have to remember, and you have to write this, not the full periodic table. Full is not important for your syllabus, but only the group number 1, 2 and 13 to 18. So we'll draw the periodic table, but you will leave the group 3 to 12. The remaining space between you can leave it empty. So that is question 3. Then we have the question 4. You have to, in the same copy where you are doing the question answers, you have to write and learn the name of the first 30 elements. That is atomic number 1 to atomic number 30. That you find out which elements are from atomic number 1 to 30. You have to make a table there. In the first column you will write the atomic number 1 to 30. Then in the second column in that table you will write the name of the element, and in the third column you will write the chemical symbol of that element, and you have to learn all these. That is all for this present video. The chapter 3, the last video, will be uploaded today itself. Do wait for the next video. Thank you.